Hello there, good morning. Welcome to Newsroom right here on GHOne Television. We are live from our studios at the Platinum Place, Northridge. Also live on social media on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube at GHOne. Now, here's what's coming in the next hour. Fate of 6-week-old strike by CETAG to be determined today after what was described as a successful meeting with the Education Minister yesterday. Also on the lineup this morning, Parliament to begin debate on media budget review presented by Finance Minister Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. In business, Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat signs MOU with Africa 24 to project activities. And elsewhere, U.S. President Joe Biden breaks silence in a televised address after opting out of the November polls. We've got details of these and more coming up shortly. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying on with us this morning. My name is Joshua Kodjo Mensah. The details now and the fate of the about 6-week-old strike by members of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association Ghana is to be determined at a council meeting to be held today. It follows yesterday's meeting with the Education Minister Dr. Yao Osei-Dutum after an earlier directive to freeze July salaries of the striking teachers, describing the strike as illegal. Now, yesterday's meeting with the Education Ministry ended without a clear roadmap on the way forward, even though both parties noted that the meeting was fruitful with giant strides made. However, CETAG President Prince Obenhima noted the future of their industrial action, which began on the 14th of June, can only be determined by the National Council expected to meet today. All right, so let's get to Zoom now and speak to John Kumi Newton. He is the Vice President of CETAG, and he has joined us on Zoom now. Mr. Newton, thank you so much for your time this morning. So as it stands now, you entered the meeting yesterday with the Education Ministry. What is the fate of your strike?
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Yesterday, we had a meeting with a team of government representatives, and I must admit that the Ministry of Education, GTech, FUSAC, Ministry of Labor Relations, and all others that matter were there. And we had fruitful deliberations, as you have earlier on indicated. However, we are only representatives of our constituents across the 46 colleges of education. So whatever information we have, being the result of that meeting we had yesterday, we need to meet the council of our association. Then after that, we will know what will happen. And so yesterday, the meeting ended around 8 p.m. In fact, it was late. We had to travel throughout the night. And so we have scheduled a meeting for tomorrow, not today. We have rather scheduled the meeting for tomorrow. So by 9, we will meet online, and then whatever the council decides is what we shall go by.
Quite interesting there. But we've had some deliberations. I mean, one of the key things that was topical in all of this was the fact that your July salaries, according to a directive from the ministry through GTech, was to be frozen. Did that come up in the meeting yesterday?
Well, for us as an association, we do not see the seizure of July salary as anything that bothered us so much. We saw it as a trickle from somewhere, a needless trickle, because we are on a legal strike. So whoever is saying that they want to seize our salaries because we are on illegal strike, at the right time, that person will have to prove to the masses and to the world. So we are not bothered. So we went into that meeting focusing not on the salary, but on the real issues for which we were invited. So for us, we are going to meet tomorrow. And whether they are going to pay the July salary or not, we don't care. We will decide, and then the world will hear of what we decide on tomorrow after our meeting.
So for the purposes of clarity, as it stands now that you have yet to get into that National Council meeting, the strike still holds?
It holds seriously. And 2 days ago, when they issued that threat of seizure of our salaries, we also aggravated our strike to level 2. So the level 2 we are now indicates that no college tutor to attend to any service that we have been providing. Being on strike, that we have withdrawn teaching and related activities does not take the teacher out of job. The teacher was still at post. We were rendering services. And so we have now withdrawn all the services so that we see how the colleges will run without us.
And that message was sent clearly. You think that that message has been sent clearly to the government, for which reason that the concerns you had earlier will definitely be met?
Oh, sure. This message was sent clearly, and they had it before we met yesterday. And so behind everybody's mind, they knew that from today, if it is graduation, you don't expect tutors to come and sit there in convocation. We are on strike because we have further aggravated it as a result of their unlawful threat. So as of now, it remains a threat. If salaries are paid and we are not paid, then where the legal remedies are, we shall seek them and we shall apply the legal remedies to whatever is happening. As it is now, CETAG strike still holds, and no tutor is expected to perform any activity until further notice.
Now, one of the key words we've heard so far is that the meeting yesterday was fruitful. Is it the case that government is softening its stance and you are going to get migrated onto the lecturer level as your colleagues in the other traditional universities?
Well, for now, I will say that it's one of the issues that brought us to the table there. Yes, they are now coming down, and we are also meeting them. So we want to see what our council will advise on the progress made so far. If council thinks that the progress made so far sit in well with them, and so they will want to hold on or suspend for some few weeks to see what will happen, fine. If the council says no, then we will continue. But as I speak, our strike is still in force, full force, level 2, no
Level
more
2.
1.
Right. Well, Mr. Kumi-Newton, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate your time. That's John Kumi-Newton. He is the Vice President of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG. And we know clearly that it's been six weeks of zero activity at the 46 colleges of education as a result of this particular strike. So we'll get to speak to the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, TTAG, on the impact and the way forward now that we are uncertain as to the future of that particular strike. Abdul Razak Swale, he's president for TTAG. He'll be joining me via Zoom to have that conversation. And then we'll get to know exactly what the way forward for them would also be as students in these basic okay, so John has joined me. Abdul Razak Swale, he is the president of TTAG. He's joined me on Zoom now. So thank you so much, Abdul, for joining me. So as it stands now, your teachers have not been in class for the past 6 weeks. How have you been coping?
Yeah, good afternoon to all your lovely viewers, and good afternoon to all teacher trainees in all the 46 public colleges of education. Yes, it hasn't been that easy because ever since the declaration of the strike action, students have been left to their own fate with no certainty because the uncertainty in the colleges keep being on the rise. We don't know when our teachers will be back in the classroom. We are equally left with no adults because you can't even go through your books or whatever because you don't have whatever that the reading material, the course manual. You are aware that the strike came into force on the 14th of June. That was last month.
Right.
And the colleges resumed on the 9th of last month. So it's just a week after resumption that CETAG went on strike. So reading materials and other things have not been provided to us as students. So making it very difficult for you to be able to do reading on your own. And then received an update. Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, Razak, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
So
Yeah,
we just
yeah, we
we
can
just
hear.
received we just received a notice from our teachers saying that they fired the strike. That is by withdrawing all services, and this really has come to affect us much because even from the onset that the strike they declared the strike, you can attest with me that even supervision in the colleges, some of these tutors serve as health tutors, some serve in their various capacities in the colleges, and then students are left on their own pace because there's nobody to regulate their activity. You would hear this tragically lost her life at teaching mine for a student from Atebubu College of Education. If these teachers were in the classroom or in the colleges, this would have been prevented. Even students level 400 students who are currently living on their own is committed themselves to rental agreements outside the colleges are left to their fate because there's no supervisor to they've made everything they are doing. Yeah, they are just on their own. So the effects are enormous and then they are worrying because students have not, for the past 41 days now, students have not had access to education, even though we say as a country education is a right, and then here we are not getting the services. We feel that the attempts of government or the agency with which this matter deserves is not being given because minister, we applaud the Minister for Education for the efforts so far, but we feel there is still more to be done because our teachers, these awards have been given to them somewhere years ago in 2022. D for implementation in 20.
Right. So technology also having its way here, but I'm sure we'll establish a smoother connection with Abdul Razak, and then we can let you in more on this particular one. But Abdul, so in this 41 days that your teachers have not been in class, what have you been doing as students, really?
Yes, it's been worrying because we are at a point where we can't abandon the colleges and go home because I'm not the throwing away the academic calendar or leaving to our various home is the last thing we would want to do, even though some of our students have started going home. But we don't want us to get to a point where the academic calendar would be thrown away. Then we would have to come back next year to be doing what we are doing now. Because if we say we should go, the colleges should go down to vacate, and then we come back and do whatever we are supposed to do, we are supposed to be doing this year, that will be next year. Because of this strike, it will really not sit down well with students because students have already done their budgets or whatever for this semester, knowing very well that the semester ends on September 7th. And then some have committed themselves, like I said, to rental agreements. That's level 400 students. So if you say we should come back next year to continue our academic activities, that will mean that there will be extra costs. This will result in students whatever illicit activities to get whatever. Because you can attest with me what we've gotten through as a country. The economic situation in the country is not that friendly. And then these students with their parents are struggling to get whatever to keep them in the colleges. Yet still academic activities is not ongoing. We just appealing to the government to as quickly as possible address this need. We were relieved when the outcome of the meeting, we got in touch with some of our tutors, and then they gave us some reassurance that the employer was ready to dialogue. The employer showed some commitment, which we are happy to hear, and
Right.
hoping that by we hear something positive from our teachers.
Very well. Abdul, thank you so much for your time, and we hope that we are able to see some finality to this matter. That's Abdul Razak Swale. He is president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, also letting us know exactly from the students' perspective the impact of the strike on their education. Now, there were tears of joy at the Nsawam medium security prisons as emotions got the better part of remand prisoners, as 12 of them have been freed under the Justice for All program. The imprisoned court session, which bounced back following the COVID-19 pandemic, saw a total of 24 applications considered by the two courts on Wednesday at the Nsawam prisons. The inmates who were freed were on remand, with some spending over 6 years without being taken to court for their fate to be determined. EIB Network's legal affairs correspondent Mutala Inusa was at the prisons and filed this report.
The Justice for All Foundation has touched base here at the Nsawam medium prisons, and in fact, over 20 applications were considered. And out of the 20, I can tell you that 12 of them have been successful. 12 people are walking free. They are going home. They have been discharged. In fact, 10 of them were also granted bail because of the situation that they find themselves here. But let's talk to some of these people who have been discharged by way of they being freed to go home. But you're from
Musa Hubda.
Musa Hubda. That been about
2018.
2018. Money been a do ba.
Pacho meda na dem buy.
Meda with you.
Musi meda.
Musi with you.
Musi mediewu.
Musi with you. Enti uba na yedi wa court.
Men court da.
Since I do ba 2018 un court.
Since I made dem buy fear men court da.
The na ya no mo catch you.
Omo nka hwenkyere me dem wa just ama ebe ma me bail. My partners na ya jai omo. Ya jai omo best 4 years ni.
The Justice for All Foundation abaha exercise na about na see jai omo ko fie ofa ne sen.
Oh masa, omo ba sa ba we so nkun de mami. We ma try before me qualify, ba we kire say me come fie ma nya me fan wodi. Me do ma se ana me tie ni so me ni obia o kame ho. I just Nyankopon pe. Nyankopon on wa ya mami na me da na senso.
Tanasi bebe Nyankopon tanasi pa ajodoa bebe diambe ka ada na mewie. Okay, asema da. Ajodoa we ka me ni boafo bia akama ni me papa ko. Because maybe I'm a corner be a baby morning. So they said they may buy at check.
I came to Ghana to, let's say, to work as, we call it Yahoo.
Work as Yahoo?
Yeah.
What does Yahoo mean?
We call it fraud.
Fraud? You came to Ghana to defraud?
Yeah.
People?
But not Africa. Aside.
Why did you not do it in Nigeria but Ghana?
Because we don't have a steady light.
A steady light? What is steady light?
Light.
Light? Yeah. What light means?
That is the normal NEPA light. We don't have it steady.
Oh, okay. So when you came to Ghana, what happened?
Yeah, I was with my chairman at Kaswa. So we have a problem with sharing money.
So how were you supposed to share the money?
We were supposed to share 40-60.
Okay, 40-60.
Yeah. So
who gets 60 and who gets 40?
That is my chairman. His own is 60, my own is 40.
Okay. And what happened? Did you get your 40?
No.
What happened?
He said he will not give me the 40, they will give me 30. I said no. So we have an argument, quarrel. So I took the 30, then I took my laptop and my things, then I left to hotel.
So you left your chairman's place to a hotel?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened after when you went to the hotel?
Yeah, I was in hotel in, let's say, like 1 week. So the day making 1 week. So I went out around 12 o'clock midnight to London Bar along Kaswa Road, Choice. So I went there to took, normally prostitute.
You engaged the services of a prostitute?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened?
So I took her in. So she only took spine off. He said she was already drunk at her madam. That day is her freedom day. That is her day she settled her madam. So she took Ole's spine off. So at the end, the next morning around something 5 to 6. So I woke her up. No way, she's not waking up. So
she died. She died.
She died.
You didn't do anything to her?
No.
After taking the drink?
No. So I checked, there's white foam coming out on her mouth. So I rushed down to call the hotel attendant. So I drew that one attention. So she came and discovered that yes, it's true. So she even helped me, took her to the bedroom to on the shower on her. See, before the hotel attendant took phone, I called the owner of the hotel. So the owner of the hotel came now and I called the police to arrest me.
That was when you were brought here?
Yes.
Were you ever taken to court?
No, since 2019 I came to court. I was remanded to prison. I've never gone to court before.
Meanwhile, the co-supervising judge in charge of the Justice for All program, Justice Ifiasewa Asaribuche, has admonished investigators to be diligent in their line of duty and not leave vulnerable remand prisoners to languish in prison for years. Justice Asaribuche, a justice of the Court of Appeal, was speaking to journalists after the Justice for All program touched base at the Nsawam prison on Wednesday, where some 12 inmates, like you heard, were freed.
The Judicial Service notes with concern that despite the successes chalked, some non-governmental organizations use old data and statistics to create unwelcome stories about the criminal justice system in Ghana, especially about remand prisoners. Some also put stories in the public domain without verification after having only heard stories told by the prisoners. We want to assure the general public that remand prisoners in Ghana are not quote-unquote locked and forgotten. All stakeholders are working tirelessly to reduce the period between arrest, detention, and final adjudication.
All right, so let's touch base with some political stories this morning. And camp of the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has turned down an invite from minority MPs in Parliament for Dr. Bawumia to participate in debates on the media budget review statement. According to the minority MPs, this is an excellent opportunity for the Vice President to debate on the economy, despite his calls to GHOne Mahama of the NDC to a debate. Now, reacting to the invite, aide to Dr. Bawumia, Kofi Tonto, described the move as senseless, noting Dr. Bawumia will debate his fellow presidential aspirants and not MPs.
We put, generally, the idea is you put people who are neutrals to be the arbiters. So how can you take somebody who is an adversary and sit you on a table and ask you a million questions, clearly coming from a biased standpoint? The point is this: we have equally competent people in Parliament who can debate them. The Vice President would debate His Excellency John Dramani Mahama because they are the two leaders vying to lead this country. And any other person who is vying to lead this country can participate in that debate. There is no issues. But where from this whole thing that a group of parliamentarians are going to debate? No, you think about it. Do you think a group of MPP communicators can call John Dramani Mahama and say that we are also going to debate John Dramani Mahama? You ask yourself, where will it end? Okay, so NDC parliamentarians have called. Tomorrow, should the MPP parliamentarians also call John Dramani Mahama and say that come and sit down, so we also do? Or the NPP communicators call John Mahama and say come and sit down, we'll debate. How does that work? The people will debate those they have to debate.
Now, let's go to a developing story from the Kulungugu border in the Pusiga district, where a clash between customs and immigration personnel disrupted operations for over an hour. Now, the altercation has raised questions about interagency cooperation and the procedures for fee collection at our borders.
The incident reportedly occurred on Wednesday, July 24, over disagreements concerning the payment of certain border fees. Sources at the border indicate that the altercation began when an importer from Burkina Faso refused to pay a booking fee of 5 cedis demanded by immigration service personnel. The importer had already completed all necessary paperwork with the customs division and believed that the additional payment was unnecessary. Frustrated by the demand, the importer reported the incident to the Customs Division. Customs personnel then approached the Ghana Immigration Service to facilitate free passage for the importer, arguing that the payment had already been settled. However, this intervention was met with resistance from the Immigration Service personnel, leading to a heated confrontation. The situation escalated into a scuffle between the two state security agencies, lasting over an hour. Despite the tension, no injuries were reported from the altercation. The incident highlights ongoing issues regarding border fee collection and interagency cooperation. This clash underscores the need for clear communication and collaboration between the Customs Division and the Ghana Immigration Service to prevent similar disputes in the future and ensure smooth operations at the border.
Well, still staying with the Ghana Immigration Service, the service is now taking a significant leap forward in its efforts to combat irregular migration. Now, in an ambitious move to tackle the challenges of irregular migration, the Ghana Immigration Service is bolstering its cybersecurity infrastructure. Now, this initiative, supported by the Danish government, aims to fortify Ghana's borders and create lasting partnerships to address the root causes of migration.
The handing over of the cutting-edge IT and cybersecurity equipment marks a critical moment in Ghana's fight against irregular migration. This initiative is part of the SMMIG2 project, aiming to enhance Ghana's technological capabilities in managing migration effectively.
The provision of computers and a digital library to the Legal Directorate will strengthen the GIS capacity to investigate and prosecute migration-related offences, serving as a deterrent to potential perpetrators.
The newly acquired equipment will play a pivotal role in strengthening the Ghana Immigration Service's technological infrastructure, allowing for better data management and enhanced security measures.
As a capacity building project, the focus is not just on training of officers, but the provision of key equipment and devices needed by officers to effectively carry out their mandates in an efficient manner.
Security services around the world face a full range of cyber threats, and most of the time, they don't have the means to monitor and control their networks, which expose them to actual risks that may affect their national security and economy.
The factors driving migration are complex. Structural factors such as limited economic opportunities, conflict, and climate change continue to drive higher levels of migration within and out of Africa. An estimated 35% of people in sub-Saharan Africa live in poverty, creating immense pressure to seek employment opportunities elsewhere. This pressure has contributed to the estimated 43 million African migrants globally, with numbers expected to rise. The drive for better opportunities has led many to migrate within Africa. North Africa remains a key departure point for thousands of migrants embarking on perilous journeys across the Mediterranean. These routes are fraught with risks, including human rights abuses, highlighting the urgent need for coordinated efforts to ensure safe and legal migration pathways.
Migration governance has become a key accelerator of sustainable development and achievement of Agenda 2030. Therefore, collaboration and building lasting relationships are important for us to effect the change that we envisage in this space. I will call on all stakeholders to come on board to help in strengthening the government efforts in reducing irregular migration.
The challenge of irregular migration is a complex one, requiring coordinated efforts from all sectors of society.
You're still watching Newsroom right here on GHOne Television. There's more for you, but after this breather, stay with us. Thank you so much for staying on with us right here on GHOne Television. Let's bring you business now. And in business this afternoon, the Secretary General of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, Mensah, says despite challenges such as lack of infrastructure, transport, movement of persons, among others, the goals of the Continental Trade Bloc shall come to fruition. According to him, over 47 countries have signed on to the agreement since its inception in 2018 and have since begun trading among themselves in various goods. He made the comments at the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding with Africa 24. There's more in the following report.
This event was part of the 20th anniversary commemoration of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council (ECOSOC) of the African Union held in Accra. This milestone celebrates 2 decades of fostering collaboration between the African Union and civil society organizations. It also marks 2 decades of efforts to integrate civil society voices into the continental dialogue on social, economic and cultural development. The side event available data indicates that intra-African trade as of 2021 stood at 13.7%. This figure, according to experts, is not good enough, hence the need to improve it. In the bid to change the narrative, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Africa 24 to highlight the activities of AFTA for an increased visibility and education geared towards the Agenda 2063.
There's something very positive to tell. And this positive story, Chairman, is that 47 countries have ratified ZLECAf. We are trading. Goods are moving. We were in Nigeria 3 days ago. Nigeria started exporting under ZLECAf. So it's not just about a coup d'etat or Sudan. There's more happening on our continent, and you are the voice that will express that positivity of what is happening on our continent.
Founder of Africa 24 Media Group, Constant Nemali, who spoke at the signing, implored the media to take a special interest in projecting the success story of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area.
It's about communication and information. I don't think us as Africans, we need to respond to other people who are asking us, prove us that you're doing trade, do this, do this. We have our own agenda. Yeah. We're working on our own agenda. As you said at the beginning, nobody thought that we can do this free market. There was another challenge, the currency. African Bank just launched the PAP system. You all learn about the PAP system. Can you imagine that Europeans and other countries are spending a lot of money to lock the PAP system?
Through the rule of origin under the AFTA policy framework, countries such as Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, among others, have begun aggressive trade, with more others coming on board.
Now, still in business, the West Africa Civil Society Institute, WACSI, is advocating the full inclusion of all local businesses in the implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. The AFTA CSO network has organized a special event focused on the critical role civil society organizations can play in AFTA status.
This event was part of the 20th anniversary commemoration of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council (ECOSOC) of the African Union held in Accra. This milestone celebrates 2 decades of fostering collaboration between the African Union and civil society organizations. It also marks 2 decades of efforts to integrate civil society voices into the continental dialogue on social, economic and cultural development. The side event by WACSI and the AFTA CSO network aims to explore the critical contributions that CSOs can make towards the successful implementation and enduring success of the AFTA.
What kind of role we can play? How do we engage? Where are the entry points for civil society organizations to engage government? Is to make sure that it actually gives the people what it promises to give us.
WACSI's executive director further highlighted the ongoing challenges within the African continent that impact AFTA's goals.
Particularly challenges that we have with free movement. I'm sure we can talk about how many countries in Africa that even as Africans, you need visas.
The African Continental Free Trade Area stands as a cornerstone project of the African Union's Agenda 2063. Its primary objective is to establish a unified continental market for goods and services, facilitating free movement of business persons and investment, thereby expediting economic integration across Africa.
If civil society gets its message right, government will start to listen. They must be able to have one common message about what is needed and to put in place some pressure for government to act.
With 54 of the 55 African Union member states having endorsed the agreement, the AfTA represents a monumental opportunity for economic growth and development throughout the continent.
I believe that a successful implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area holds key to a more prosperous, integrated and peaceful Africa as we desire to be.
CSOs play a pivotal role in advocacy, capacity building and policy analysis, ensuring that the benefits of the AfTA are equitably distributed across all societal sectors, particularly the marginalized and vulnerable groups.
ECOWAS leaders are being urged to prioritize regional integration and bilateral partnerships in order to enhance energy security. That's the proposal for the Minister of State Designate at the Energy Ministry, Herbert Skrapa, who spoke at the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Forum. Now, he wants the leaders to shift more towards clean energy.
Through the adoption by the heads of state of a master plan for the West African Power Pool for the period 2019 to 2033, strategies have been adopted to generate 16,000 megawatts and build 23,000 kilometers of transmission lines by 2033. The move is targeted at harnessing all energy potentials of the sub-region for a cheaper and sustainable electricity to spur industrial growth.
Ebeto ho ebehia say the common tariff ebeto ebehia so say ebedi nkita ho wo na ekoso wo nkro ne bi mu ene ebehwe kwan a yebeyi electricity nsem e free de ekoso ewo nkro ne bi mu unim say in the Sahel region no tokwa ne governance ne coup d'etat nsem bi epiem wo ho but electricity no de ho hia say mpuntuo ebetimi aba depending on regardless of the cost war sa amai nyina ka ho ne aba be hyemu ha ne ye dinkita ho na megidi se we dwumadi e bewie no ye benya ntiase e wo kwan ye be fa so ahwe sansemi kwan ye be fa so ahwe se solar ni wind ni hydro electricity mix in Modudo.
Chairman of the ECOWAS Regional Electricity Regulatory Authority, Koku Laurent Tosu, who also spoke at the forum, said the pursuit of energy security requires a holistic approach that addresses geopolitical dynamics.
So today is to share with all the stakeholders, mainly utilities, operators, regulators, the ministries of all the country, part of the region, what we have done since the creation of the institution. So today we will talk about the interplay within the national independence and the principle of the electricity market.
Speaking with the media, the Executive Secretary of the PURC, Dr. Ishmael Aka, said the provision of cheaper energy is non-negotiable.
So when you look at the ECOWAS region, there are few factors affecting our energy supply. So on the good side, there are very good sources of energy. So we see some countries having abundance of hydro, we see solar. When you go to Nigeria, they have one of the largest reserves of gas that can even supply the region. But there are other issues, including security issues, including infrastructure, inadequate, especially transmission infrastructure that will link one country to the other. So I think the purpose of this forum is to look at how we can attract investment, one into generation and two into transmission infrastructure.
The forum, which is being attended by players in the energy sector across the ECOWAS sub-region, is themed Electricity, Trade, Security in ECOWAS region, the interplay between national policies and free markets principles.
And that's your business this afternoon. And it's time to bring you the latest in the world of sports. Who better than Monica Bukari to deliver the sports this afternoon? Monica, you're looking ravishing.
Thank you so very much, Joshua.
What's happening
and
in
you're
sports?
looking dapper too.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Please do. Anyway, Joshua, the Black Sharks currently, as we speak, are on their way by bus to Ivory Coast instead of the initial plans to go with flight. I'll bring you details of that shortly after this breather. Do stay. Now, let's do more sports at 1 p.m. here on GHOne TV and Star FM. My name is Monica Bukari. Back to you, Joshua.
Many thanks, Monica, for serving as the sports. Let's jet off to the United States of America with some international news. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has reiterated calls for unity within his party in his first televised address from the Oval Office on Wednesday night, his first public comment since he abruptly ended his re-election bid on Sunday. He spoke of his humble roots, sang the praises of the American people, and added that the future of American democracy lies in their hands. He, however, failed to provide a direct explanation for the biggest question of the day, which is why he has become the first incumbent president to abandon a re-election bid just a few months before voting begins. Listen to him. So you heard the 46th and current president of the United States of America, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. Drawing the curtains on a newsroom here on GH1 television. There's more news for you when you log on to Ghana's most credible news website, starfm.com.gh. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Good afternoon.